Ever since I was a child, I've had horrible headaches. I never told my parents about them. That's probably why I still have them. They were monthly, if that, so I tried not to make a big deal out of it. I remember one time I was in an amusement park, either Disneyland or Six Flags, and I got a pounding migraine. I was on the ground, almost in tears, and when my parents asked what was wrong, I told them I had to pee. Later that day, they took me to the doctor to check if I had a urinary tract infection. The worst part about the headaches is that I always seem to get them at the worst times, during pictures, tests, prom, and other social gatherings. Basically any place which required me to be on my best mentality, my headaches would follow. I'm 27 now, and my headaches have decided now to take a great turn. The other day I was trying to have a nice date with a woman that I met on a dating website. Yes, I am desperate. We went to a nice restaurant for dinner. It was expensive too. The moment she sat down at the table, I got an intense headache. I grabbed my head, so she must have thought I was irritated to see her. I was able to suffer through them without her noticing until about halfway through. She had just started up a very intellectual conversation when I heard a man say to me, "You're just a meanie," very childishly. I turned around right away because it sounded like the man was right next to me. There wasn't anyone around, so I just dismissed it and continued on with my very intellectual conversation. She had just asked me a question which was hard to understand with my headaches, and I heard the voice again, this time saying, "She won't ever love you." Unlike the first time I was scared, I jumped and hit the table, knocking my glass of water over. We had to call over the waiter and ask for napkins to clean up the mess. It was embarrassing. I had to apologize to my date, and she asked what was wrong, and a couple of more questions I didn't care about answering because I was still looking for the man that whispered in my ear. I apologized again and told her the truth. She told me either to ignore them or we'd have to reschedule. I've dealt with horrible headaches all my life, so I told her that there was nothing to worry about. Not even 5 minutes later, I heard the voice call out again, very loudly this time, "No one will ever love you." I couldn't stand it. I turned around and yelled at the old man that was sitting at the table almost 10 feet away from me. "You think this is funny?" I yelled at him while I stood up. "Just shut up, will ya?" My date was covering her face, embarrassed. Everybody was staring at me. The outburst got me kicked out of the restaurant. I went to the doctor after that and told him about the voice in my head. He told me about the different reasons why people hear voices in their head. Stress, depression, bad hearing, and of course, insanity. I need to write a journal about my experiences for 3 weeks and then give him the results so that he can figure out what's wrong with me. I thought I might as well spice it up a bit, so I can read this when I'm older, so I can laugh about the time when I thought I heard voices in my head. There is asbestos in the old building, most likely, and it would make sense if I accidentally inhaled some. I don't know if asbestos causes the victim to hear voices, but I might as well write down every possible solution. June 3rd, 4:48 p.m. I heard another voice a few minutes ago. Our team had just finished setting up the explosives. We were going to blow up the old hospital, which was abandoned for almost a century now, for the creation of an apartment complex. I was the one who pushed the button, the guy who detonated the explosives. When the countdown began, I was ready. At the 2-second mark, I heard the same voice say to me, "All you do is break things, you meanie." I pressed the button a few seconds late, and everyone is still a little pissed about my apparent prank. I told them that it was a delayed detonation, but they didn't buy it. June 4th, 8:27 a.m. I had a horrible nightmare last night. In it, I was being chased by a giant red demon. It was hunched over when it chased me, for some reason, and it was a reddish-orange color. He told me something about absorbing my power, and to do so he must consume me. "It's just survival," he said, as he ate me whole. It was pretty scary. I felt like a helpless baby. I didn't know what was going on, and he was so much larger than me. Who knows? Maybe it's a sign that there is a demon who's out to get me. June 4th, 2:35 p.m. Another bad day again. Today at work we had an important meeting. The boss was explaining to us that the reason he'd been gone for the past few days was because he found out his wife had cancer. The moment he said she had cancer, I began laughing loudly and uncontrollably. I don't know why, but at that moment I thought it was hilarious. I thought for sure I'd be fired, but because I apologized and told him I wasn't acting myself lately, he told me to take the next few days off. That's great. Now I won't get paid for at least 3 days. June 4th, 8:57 p.m. The voice just talked to me again. I was sitting at my computer and it screamed at me, "What did I do to you, you jerk?" I jumped again, falling out of my chair this time. I heard the voice giggle. That really pissed me off, so I yelled at it, "Leave me the hell alone!" After I said that, I realized that I was on the ground in my room talking to myself. The voice didn't respond to me. June 5th, 9:06 a.m. Given that I have a free day today, I'm going to run a few errands. Last night I had a dream that I was living in a nice house with a wife and 2 children. My wife was beautiful. She had nice black hair like my mother. Our kids were just as beautiful. One of them had black hair like my wife and the other had brown hair, taking after me. We had a normal life, having dinner, playing catch, and watching TV together. The dream made me feel good. If this voice keeps on with its tricks, however, the idea of a family is gone. June 5th, 1:36 p.m. I was picking up some groceries today. I saw this gorgeous woman picking out apples. Next to the apples were the oranges, where I was. I had already had my plan of attack. I was going to ask her about oranges, like any ignorant single man would, and then I'd start to compliment her. The dream this morning really got me in a romantic mood. Just when I was going to walk away to her, my arm acted on its own and threw an orange at the woman. It was sort of like any reaction, except it was very violent. She gave me a glare, called me a jackass, and then walked away. My chance of having a family or being ruined by whatever I have. I looked up what this kind of thing would be on my computer. I found several cases of people being possessed by demons who were experiencing the same problems I am. It would make sense given my dreams. Tomorrow I'm going to find a priest to exorcise me. I don't really believe in possession and demons, but priests are free, so it's worth a shot. June 5th, 11:45 p.m. I'm actually scared at this point. I blacked out for an hour while I was on my computer. On it was a Word file, which was opened for me. This is exactly what it said. "Why do you have to be such a meanie? All you want to do is hurt me, don't you? That's all you do. You hurt me. You kill me too. I want you to feel bad too. That's what I'll do. I'll make you feel so bad. You don't give me a chance. You're the bad one. You're the bad one. You're the bad one. I hate you. I hate you, and me mommy hates you." I must have woke up in the middle of this spirit's sentence. I began crying after I finished reading it. Have I done something to upset the spirit? I think the spirit is a young child because of how horrible its spelling was, but why did I hear a grown man's voice? Maybe the hospital I torn down was special to it and it wants revenge. I doubt that I'm going to get any sleep tonight. June 6th, 7:53 a.m. I was right, I didn't get any sleep. The priest is coming over at 9 today, so I have an hour before he gets here. I'd probably like to say in advance that I doubt that the priest will help me at all. There's still a chance that I'm crazy. I'd probably prefer that than an relevant spirit. June 6th, 12:03 a.m. The priest came in later than what he promised. I was okay with it though, as long as he got the demon out of me. He was pretty nice, as you'd expect from a priest. He blessed me, said all the prayers, some in a language I didn't understand, but nothing strange happened from the whole process. At the end of it, I honestly thought everything was finished. As he left, I told him, "Bye-bye, you stupid head." Before the exorcism, I told him that I thought that the spirit was a child, so he knew it wasn't me. The priest turned around shocked, then tried a couple more incantations. He told me that some spirits are tricky and can slip through the process. When he was done, he told me to call him if the problems continued. I doubt it worked, but I can always hope that it did. June 8th, 3:24 p.m. Yesterday nothing strange happened, so I think the problem is gone now. If that's the case, I'll keep writing things that will entertain my future self until I see the doctor in a week. I did have another strange dream last night, however, and I might as well write down anything that might help in case this thing is still in me. This one was pretty bad. It was a continuation of my last dream. My black-haired son died apparently, and my whole family was at his funeral. I hate these depressing kind of dreams. That got me to thinking, maybe the spirit inside me was a child who died and this was his last memory. But it was a man's voice. I'm not going to think about it too much. That dream also made me want to invite over my parents. My dad was busy somewhere in New York for a business trip. He's 65 now. He should honestly just retire. When I called my mom, she told me she would love to see me. She came at 11 a.m. bringing homemade egg salad, my favorite. I can't explain why, but I felt so happy around my mother. I kept hugging her and telling her that I loved her. It was like she was in her deathbed. Nothing is wrong with loving my mom, but it's strange. What made it even stranger is what she told me before she was about to leave. "Honey, I don't have any problem with it," she started to ask me. "But why do you keep calling me mommy? You're 27. Isn't that a little old for you?" I hadn't noticed that I was calling her mommy the whole time. I still don't think the spirit is inside me still though. Maybe it's just the stress of it all that makes me act like this. June 10th, 2:26 p.m. I just lost my job today. It took me a while to actually get over it and write about it. The moment I got to work, I saw my boss waddling over. He was a very large man, so he was easy to spot. Are you feeling better now? Those days off must have helped you. I don't know why, but I spit at him. It wasn't even a full spit. I just sort of sprayed over his face. He fired me instantly. I don't care, Tubby, I yelled at him when I stuck out my tongue. I didn't try to say that, though. I was going to apologize to him. This is just too much for me. I'm going to visit the doctor again tomorrow. I think I'm crazy. June 11th, 12:22 a.m. You're back already, are you? Everything is better now, I suppose? I shook my head. Of course, then why else would you be here, he said with a smile. I wasn't in the mood for his humor. I told him everything that's happened to me in the past week. He looked around worried. He told me he was going to give me a CAT scan of my brain to see if anything was wrong with it. I don't know why, but when I was in the CAT scanner, I felt so happy. It felt futuristic and just cool, like I was a kid again. The results came a half hour later. The doctor walked in with a depressed look on his face. I knew it was bad news. He told me I have 3 small tumors in my brain, which is most likely what's been causing all of my problems. They have to be removed immediately or I'm going to die. I have an appointment for surgery in 2 days. I don't think I can write another entry until then. The surgery could kill me. I don't want my parents to stress out about it, so I haven't told them yet. June 13th, 3:01 p.m. I had another strange dream last night. My dead son was slowly and meticulously ripped apart by the monster in my first dream. Slowly the monster kept changing while it ate my son. It grew small, became human-like, and grew long brown hair. It was then I realized that it was my other son killing him. The spirit must have been killed by his brother and wants to tell me about it so he can go to heaven. I know it's a cliche, but it's a pretty messed up world we live in. I wouldn't be surprised if some monster for brother killed him. I'm an only child. I would never know what brotherly love means, but I know how messed up it is. If I have tumors and a spirit is possessing me, I'm done. June 14th, 9:24 p.m. The surgery took almost 5 hours. I just heard how it went from my doctor. He was sweating when he walked in. Oh good, you're awake, he stated nervously. There's something I need to show you. I was going to die today, and that was that, but it was worse. He showed me a picture taken during the surgery. I saw my head opened up, which was gross in itself. He pointed in the middle of my brain. Sticking out of it was a curled up finger. There was also a few teeth and 2 more hidden fingers. My doctor had to explain to me how it happened. Well, you see, when eggs are forming and there's twins, sometimes the bigger twin consumes the smaller one. And sometimes because of this, the dead twin still develops in the surviving one's body. It's not all that uncommon. We have patients coming in who have teeth in their noses, fingernails on their heads, nightmare fuel if you know what I mean. Now, I really couldn't deal with my doctor's sense of humor. Yours was particularly disturbing. You see how the fingers curled up? It wasn't like that when we opened you up. It looked like it was trying to get me closer. It started to curl on its own, go back down, and finally it curled back up and stopped. That was just absolutely sick. It's scary, but it's nothing to worry about. Your brain must have sent a strange signal that made it do that before the finger died. It also may have been the release of pressure. The look on his face told me he was still worried. He told me more than any other doctor would, so I decided not to ask him any more questions. That and this is really disturbing me. I'm just going to look it up at home. I'm probably not going to write down another entry for a while. This is really shocking to me, as my future self should know, and I need some time to think about it and possibly mourn. July 29th, 4:55 p.m. This is my last entry. Since I've learned the truth, I've told both of my parents about everything that has happened to me. They didn't even know I was having surgery in the first place. This was probably really shocking to them to realize that they had almost had twins. I got the remains of my dead twin from the doctor the night of the surgery. Last week I burned them and buried them in the backyard with my parents. There was a little gravestone on it, marked Jerry. My mom told me that was almost my name. We had all got to say something for Jerry before we buried him. While I looked at the gravestone, I told him, I'm sorry things turned out the way they did, Jerry. I'm also sorry that I killed you. You would have made a kick-ass twin brother. My mom giggled a little while she wiped tears away from her face. I forgive you for what you did. I deserved it. I hope you can forgive me too. I was going to stop there, but I couldn't. It should have been me, Jerry. I'm the one who should have been eaten. The word no echoed through my head. That was the last word Jerry has ever said to me. Since then, I stopped getting the horrible headaches that I've had for almost 27 years now. Also, I finally figured out why the voice in my head had horrible grammar but sounded like a man. I learned about the formation of zygotes in biology sophomore year of college. What the doctor said was slightly familiar. I remember hearing it from somewhere. It was held in a part of my brain that I couldn't get to, that part that Jerry owned. Jerry came into existence when I was told about this. He was being created from grudge. He has the mind of a 7-year-old and the body of a 27-year-old man. If Jerry's goal was to make me feel bad, he achieved it. I hope I can just forget it all. This makes me wonder though, is Jerry gone? Or will he always be a part of me?